Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's TJ. And, man, shouts out to everybody watching this video right now. I just finished watching the last game of Divisional Weekend, the Chicago Bears versus the Rams. And I got to say, my goodness, what an amazing football game we all just watched. As a matter of fact, I'll go a little deeper. I think this may be the best playoffs I've ever watched or witnessed in my entire life. And I've been around for quite a minute. I mean, it has been exciting. I mean, you had a few sleeper, snoozer games, if you will. But for the most part, they have been extremely competitive, been down to the wire. And I know that's what a lot of fans want, unless you have an emotional investment in these teams. You know, this Chicago Bears-Rams game was exciting. You know, shouts out to Caleb Williams. I got to say, man, but when it comes to Caleb Williams, I was one of those people that felt, you know, he had a lot of arm talent. He was a guy that was really, really good, you know, playing a quarterback position. But I just think that, you know, he was just too emotional, and I felt like his emotions would kind of wane thin on his team. But I have left the game tonight with more respect for Caleb Williams than I had coming into it. I mean, I've always knew he was talented, but I just felt, you know, he was a little bit of a diva, but he really handled his business tonight. I mean, that clutch pass that he threw in the fourth quarter to put the game into overtime, you know, you got to give him respect. I mean, it was a unfortunate interception that he threw to set up the Rams for the field goal to go to the NFC Championship. But both teams, they really wanted this football game. And, you know, like I said, this playoffs has been exciting. The game before that was the Patriots versus the Texans. All I got to say about that Texans game is DeMeco Ryans basically cost his team the game, as well as C.J. Stroud. Because C.J. Stroud played god-awful in that game. I mean, absolutely awful. I do not understand why these organizations do this. I don't understand why they choose to go with optics over the end result. You had an opportunity to maybe put in Davis Mills, a guy who has had fourth quarter comebacks this season. When C.J. Stroud was out with a concussion, Davis Mills came in and he provided a spark. And I just don't understand why they decided to go with C.J. Stroud the entire game. And in my opinion, that was the reason why they lost the game. Because that defense played inspired as hell. But, you know, you're only human. When you're watching your offense go out there and wet the bed and make mistake after mistake after mistake, and you as a defense feel like you have to be flawless in order for you to win the football game. And they could not put forth that type of effort, especially since they were on short fields and the offense really didn't do anything. So that left the defense out there for a hell of an amount of time, and that was the reason why they ended up losing the game. But I just think that these organizations need to chill out when it comes to how things may be perceived. If C.J. Stroud isn't giving you what you need in the game, go with the backup quarterback. I don't understand why we feel like that got to be an indicator of a quarterback when it comes to them being a franchise guy. I've seen it in years past. I've seen some of the best quarterbacks in the game get benched in a playoff situation, but it didn't hurt them at all. As a matter of fact, it kind of gave them the confidence and, you know, the belief to go back to the drawing board and become a better version of themselves. So when this opportunity presents itself again, they go out there and perform. Unfreaking believable that we just continue to act as if we're not seeing what we're actually seeing. C.J. Stroud cost his team the game on today. But all in all, I mean, the entire weekend, for the exception of that Seattle 49ers game, was exciting. Unfortunate news for the Denver Broncos. Of course, we know Bo Nix has a fractured foot, has to get surgery, out for the season. In comes Jarrett Stidham. He's going to start in the AFC Championship game versus the New England Patriots. Should be interesting to see if Jarrett Stidham, along with Sean Payton, can put together something for the offense to be able to move the football against a very talented Patriots defense. And also, you have yourself an NFC West, NFC Championship game. Good luck to the Rams, trying to be able to stop that buzzsaw that is the Seattle Seahawks. But it's going to be an exciting championship weekend. I think that both games are going to be exciting despite what Denver is going through. And you also have the NFC West teams, the Rams and the Seahawks, that are very familiar with each other. And you know that they're going to put forth their best effort in order for them to try to get themselves to the Super Bowl. But I'm loving every minute of this, man. You got to love what you're seeing in these playoffs. Once again, one of the most exciting playoffs I think I ever seen in my entire life. But what do you all think about the playoffs? What do you think about some of the decisions that these teams made? I forgot to mention the Bills. I feel bad for Josh Allen. I feel bad for him. I got to mention this. The Buffalo Bills, it just seemed like this would have been their year. I mean, no Mahomes, no Lamar Jackson, no Joe Burrow. It just seemed like it was just set up for Josh Allen to be able to get to the Super Bowl for the first time. But too many turnovers and some unfortunate events cost the Buffalo Bills. And then when you look at the fact that the New England Patriots kind of took a 3-4 year hiatus, and now they're back in the AFC Championship game, and you got to hurt and feel for the Buffalo Bills fans. They got the quarterback, but it just seems like they just cannot get over the hump. The Buffalo Bills, they got to figure some things out this offseason. The most important thing they need to figure out is how can they get Josh Allen a number one receiver? I mean, even though you had guys like Shavers and Gabe Davis out for the season, those aren't number one guys. It seemed like Keon Coleman, they drafted him in the second round a few years ago. Don't seem like he's that number one guy. And you got Brandon Cooks and, a couple more guys that have been role players the entire career. They need to get themselves that number one guy. In my opinion, there's a guy out in Philadelphia that's not very happy, that wants to be targeted quite a bit, and his name is A.J. Brown. If I'm the Buffalo Bills, I may be calling up Philly to see what it would take to bring A.J. Brown to Buffalo, or drafting somebody that can be that go-to guy for Josh Allen, because the fact that they couldn't get that number one guy, or he didn't have that number one guy, despite the fact he turned the ball over, they still had a chance. If you had yourself a number one guy that can get open, that can catch those contested catches, I think that Buffalo would have did enough. And it hurts even worse that you're seeing that the Denver Broncos lost their starting quarterback, and now they got to go into the AFC Championship game with a backup quarterback. So I know that got to sting even more. But once again, I would love to know what you all think about the AFC NFC playoffs. Has this been the most exciting playoffs you ever seen? I would love to hear from you. Once again, my name is TJ Jones. You can follow me on X at TJAYJones8. And please subscribe to the State of the Saints and the State of the NFL channel. Till next time, I'll see you.